Hey, good morning, team. It is Tuesday, September 17th. I'm Amy Corr, and I am here with Kevin Van Eck. And yes, we are at the Goose Island office for another great episode. We are going to be talking about getting the most out of your marketing. And I know that this is exciting for many of you, right? Because marketing is such a big part of our business. So let's see if your coffee is nice and hot, and let's get ready to jump into the next episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Do it. We're going to talk about marketing. A big part of our role is marketing. It's a huge part, whether it's marketing ourselves, our own business, our brand, our listings, our success, all of these things. So
name of the game.
That's right. So we're going to talk about marketing, and we're going to talk about how to maximize your marketing really across different types of listings, across price points, across your business, across markets, across all different types of collateral. So the number one thing is also making sure that you understand that marketing is an investment, right? That it's not a cost. There's a cost to it. You can't blow it out and spend your life savings on marketing your business necessarily. So how can you maximize it?
Yeah, and I think sometimes people do want to skimp on this stuff, but it is an investment, and it's something that if you do it well, it will help increase your business.
It pays off.
And the reality is we are in September, but here at Properties in Chicago, I know many of us are getting ready for our business planning, right?
Best time of the year.
Yes. So marketing and furthering our business is going to be really top of mind. So we thought, you getting a head start and us helping you start thinking about this right now is going to be really valuable. And so I think the first thing we really want to touch on is making sure that you're allocating your money wisely, right? And the best way to do that is you have to kind of take a look back and say, what did I spend my money on? And also really importantly, what worked well? Like what was it worth spending money on, and what didn't work, right? And then being able to kind of come up with a little bit more of a strategic game plan. Here's a really good example, and I work with a lot of agents and talk to them about this. So many agents want, one of their goals as they move into a new year is I want to increase my average price point. I have a lot of agents who say, I really want to get into that luxury market space, that over $1 million. And, let's face it, when you are marketing a house or a condo, a unit, whatever it may be, that's $250,000, that's super important to the seller. And we are never going to skimp, but odds are we are going to put more money and marketing towards something that is $1 million property, right? Oftentimes, because maybe it'll take longer to sell, there's a longer runway, there's more of an expectation from that particular seller. So there's differences. And I think one of the things we can do is when you're looking at your budget, I think it'd be really helpful to figure out things like, what are the buckets that I might be selling in? And what is my marketing going to look at for something, let's say from 0 to 500 million or 500 million, 500,000, right? And then that next bucket might be 500,000 to just under $1 million. What am I doing? What am I adding as these are, maybe bigger properties that need a little bit more? And then again, if I'm really starting to think about, I want to move the needle in my business and maybe go into $1 million plus category, what am I doing differently? What's differentiating me so that I can go in and I can talk to a seller and say, this is what I do for properties such as yours, right? You got to figure out what that looks like, because part of that is also, what am I spending, right? So this is a good example of, now is the time to kind of figure out, what did I spend last year? What's working, what isn't, cut it out, and then start kind of really diving into the micro nuances of it so that you can make sure that you're coming up with a good game plan, because again, let's face it, we might only have a certain amount of dollars that we're allocating, then we need to be really smart about it. So figuring out where I want to spend my money and where I have to add a little something extra, depending on who the client is or what it is that I'm doing.
That's right. And thinking through too, a lot of times the things that we go through in our marketing departments, what we think about is, how is this going to be used and where can you use it or distribute it, right? So when you're going through that list, what are the different ways that you could use a video, or what are the unique ways you could use a floor plan, or what are the ways you can use the imagery that you capture? Right. So how do you choose and really maximize the exposure with a limited budget? Look at how you can distribute it in many different ways, right? So for that listing, you can use video for, of course, on YouTube, but YouTube Shorts and all across the social, whether it's Meta, Google like YouTube, TikTok, all the different ways you can use the same piece of content for that single listing. And think through also what types of advertising avenues are affordable that you can invest in across all of your listings. So things like AdWorks, right? You have the ability to do two things. You can target by zip code, and you can also target by database, meaning you can upload and target your entire sphere with both display ads, which are the ones that show up on websites, and also in social. Or maybe you use Boost. There's all different types of products that you can use for this. But think through when you're adjusting your budget and you're looking at, okay, well, how can you maximize it through all of the different distribution channels using the same video across all of them. And don't skimp on it for the listing. You know, a lot of times we run into agents who the listing's going to sell in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Get the content.
Yeah.
Get the content because it's content that you will have and still be able to use for your brand while that listing does or doesn't sell.
Yeah, I love that. And then I think the other thing too is like if we are looking at being on a limited budget, you know, I've been talking to more and more agents. I mean, first of all, social is free. I mean, yes, there's ways that you can enhance, like you said, pay to play and, you know, boost your posts and those sorts of things. But at the end of the day, it's your time and having a strategy for that. And I think one of the things that I've learned so much this year in talking to a lot of agents as far as what's helped their marketing and their brand grow is not so much the prepared video content that we're going to put together. We spend lots of money, let's face it, on sometimes, you know, our brand video. And I wouldn't say not to do those, but what we're finding is the organic on the spot content that these agents are creating. For example, waiting for a showing and an agent flipping open their phone and saying, you know, the question that I've gotten 5 times in the last week is X, and then answering it and posting it. Yes. Like those are the types of things that are moving the needle. So it's also figuring out like how to blend those, but those don't cost a lot, right? So it's really also just your time and kind of having probably a strategy behind that. And then I think the other thing too that's super important is you know, you had just said, make sure that you are investing in the content, even if the listing moves fast, right? Like, I think get that brand video. The other thing is get those brochures. This drives me crazy. There is an agent out there that does this all the time, and it has gotten her business. Nikki Rocco, she was on one of our sessions a couple months ago, and she has a 5-step strategy for every one of her listings. So after she closes on it, she will take the brochure. If she has extras, she will use them, but otherwise she'll just order more, and she sends them to the closest, it's either 50 or 100 houses right around the area of the home that she just sold. Smart. She drops a brochure with a note and says, hey, just wanted to let you know we had a great successful sale of one of your neighbors' homes. If you are thinking about moving, would love the opportunity to talk to you. She does a 5-step plan. So that's the first step, but then she sends a postcard, and she uses the same idea about that property. She uses that property as kind of the stepping stone in getting in front of them. Then she'll send them something about the area, you know? So it's like thinking about the things that you've got in your arsenal, and you talked about it too, but even having those videos, so many of you out there, I'm telling you, have done those brand videos, and take a look back at those, because if you work with somebody, you can chop those down. Absolutely. So that a little nugget of it can be you walking down the street, turning and smiling, and you can create a reel that includes that. And that's repurposing great content that you already have, great marketing that you've already developed, that you can use again. And, you know, social's fast. You know, you might post something and 3 months ago, you can post it again with a different caption, with some different music. Boom, it can go viral. I mean, I've had agents who have literally used some of the same content. They've changed music, they've shortened it to a different length, and it went from, you know, 100 views to 100,000 views, you know? So it's like, there's a lot that you have. I think it's making sure that you kind of go through and reuse all of it. Yeah.
If you make the investment, get the most out of it, right? Maximize the exposure. And a good example of this too, we had them on the show, Molly Crosswhite and Rachel Retzer. Right. Because they spoke recently at the Christie's International Real Estate Agents Conference on stage with me about the repurposing of content, that when they're shooting, they're planning ahead, meaning they're planning ahead for all the different ways they can use the content. So they're making sure if it's a listing that they're getting all of the photo imagery they might need, all of the video content, everything they could possibly use, so that it is essentially evergreen content. They can post it for years
Yeah.
in effect by cutting up the content in different ways.
Yeah. And I guess one of the ways to even just sort of sum that up is there is a big list agent out of here. And she had said, when I am marketing a listing of mine, it is my way to advertise myself to my upcoming business.
Yes.
So all of the stuff that she has done to promote that property is, yes, it's to sell the property, but it's actually to get more listings, to get more clients. So, to your point, using it all and being very thoughtful and strategic in how do I get all of it done and available so that I can be, using it. So as you're thinking about this, right, it is end of September, nearing the end of September. We're getting into October. That's our big business planning month for us locally. But start thinking about it. Start figuring out, what did my marketing look like last year? Start diving into kind of what you spent, what worked, what you need to be fine tuning as you move into preparing for next year, because you're going to be in a much better spot when you're sitting down and you're starting to figure out not just marketing, but your entire plan for 2025, right?
Right. Exactly right. Don't be short-sighted when it comes to marketing. Realize that there's an opportunity for every piece of content that you create. And if you budget for it up front, it won't be an on-the-spot decision. When you get a listing about what you invest in, you'll already know.
Yeah, it's going to help you get more business at the end of the day. And we all love that, right? All right, on that note about getting more business, make it a great Tuesday. We hope you have an awesome week. And until we see you next time, remember, you got this.